William Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, written in 1599, is a historical tragedy that explores themes of power, ambition, betrayal, and fate. The play dramatizes the assassination of the Roman leader Julius Caesar and the consequences of his death in Rome. Act 1. The play opens in Rome, where the ordinary people celebrate Caesar's recent military victory over Pompey. However, two tribunes, Flavius and Marullus, disapprove of the people's admiration for Caesar and attempt to disperse the crowds. They fear that Caesar's growing power threatens the Republic. Meanwhile, the Roman senators are divided over Caesar's rise. Cassius, a skilled manipulator, expresses his concerns about Caesar to Brutus, a noble Roman who values the Republic above all. Cassius suggests that Caesar's ambition will lead to tyranny, and he works to persuade Brutus to join a conspiracy against him. Despite his friendship with Caesar, Brutus begins to consider the idea of assassination for the greater good of Rome. During the Feast of Lupercal, a soothsayer warns Caesar to beware the Ides of March, but Caesar dismisses him. That night, a storm rages, and omens of doom appear in Rome. Casca, another senator, interprets these signs as warnings about Caesar's impending rule. Cassius takes advantage of the fearful atmosphere and convinces Casca to join the conspiracy. Act 2. Brutus, troubled by inner conflict, ultimately decides that killing Caesar is necessary to preserve the Republic. He receives false letters, planted by Cassius, that urge him to act. The conspirators, including Cassius, Casca, Decius, and Metellus, meet at Brutus's house and finalize their plan to assassinate Caesar in the Senate. Portia, Brutus's wife, notices her husband's distress and demands to know what troubles him. Though initially hesitant, Brutus eventually reassures her of his loyalty. On the morning of March 15th, Caesar's wife, Calpurnia, has a nightmare in which she sees a statue of Caesar bleeding while Romans bathe in his blood. She pleads with him not to go to the Senate, fearing that the omens predict his death. However, Decius reinterprets the dream positively, convincing Caesar that the Senate plans to offer him a crown that day. Caesar, swayed by his pride, decides to go. Act 3. At the Senate, the conspirators gather around Caesar. Metellus Cimber distracts him with a plea for his brother's return from exile. As Caesar refuses, Casca strikes the first blow, followed by the others. Brutus, the last to stab him, delivers the fatal wound. Caesar, recognizing Brutus's betrayal, utters the famous words, "Et tu, Brute," before dying. Panic spreads through Rome. Mark Antony, a devoted friend of Caesar, flees but soon returns. He cleverly pretends to align himself with the conspirators to avoid being killed. Antony requests to speak at Caesar's funeral, and Brutus agrees, under the condition that Antony does not blame the conspirators. At Caesar's funeral, Brutus gives a rational speech, arguing that Caesar's ambition justified his assassination. The crowd initially supports Brutus. However, Antony follows with a powerful, emotionally charged speech. He repeatedly calls the conspirators honorable men, while subtly casting doubt on their motives. Displaying Caesar's will, which leaves money and land to the common people, Antony stirs the crowd into a frenzy. The Roman people riot, seeking revenge against the conspirators. Act 4. Antony forms a political alliance with Octavius, Caesar's adopted son, and Lepidus, creating the second triumvirate. Together, they hunt down the conspirators. They draw up a list of enemies to be executed, including Brutus's friend, Cicero. Meanwhile, Brutus and Cassius flee to Sardis, where tension rises between them. Cassius feels unappreciated, and Brutus accuses him of corruption. After a heated argument, they reconcile and prepare for a battle against Antony and Octavius's forces. That night, Brutus is visited by Caesar's ghost, who warns him that they will meet again at Philippi. Brutus, disturbed by the vision, prepares for the coming battle. Act 5. The two armies meet at Philippi. Initially, Brutus's forces gain the upper hand against Octavius, while Cassius struggles against Antony. Misinterpreting a situation on the battlefield, Cassius mistakenly believes his side has lost. Overcome with despair, he orders his servant to kill him. Brutus later finds Cassius's body and mourns his friend's death. Brutus fights on but ultimately faces defeat. Realizing he has no escape, he takes his own life, falling on his sword. His last words express hope that Caesar's spirit will now rest in peace. Antony and Octavius find Brutus's body. Antony, recognizing Brutus's noble intentions, declares that Brutus is the noblest Roman of them all. Octavius orders a respectful burial, and the play ends with the victors securing their power over Rome. Commentary. Julius Caesar powerfully explores political ambition, loyalty, and the consequences of betrayal. At its core, the play questions whether noble intentions justify drastic actions. Though motivated by his love for Rome, Brutus ultimately fails to prevent tyranny, as his decision to kill Caesar leads to greater chaos. His internal struggle highlights the difficulty of balancing morality with political necessity. The play also examines rhetoric's power, especially in Antony's funeral speech, which transforms public opinion and incites rebellion. Shakespeare presents fate and free will as intertwined forces, with omens and prophecies foreshadowing inevitable doom. The tragedy of Julius Caesar lies in its irony. Those who seek to preserve the Republic inadvertently destroy it. The play remains relevant today, offering insight into the nature of power and the fragility of democratic ideals. Its themes of political manipulation and unintended consequences resonate across time, making it a timeless work of literature.